With a new year means a new slew of opportunities for everyone. And for the ATF, a new year means another 365 days of misusing funds, publicly embarrassing themselves, traumatizing a man's wife and children, and even taking a life. Hello, my name's Zachary Clark. I'm the social media manager for the National Association for Gun Rights, wishing you a happy new year. Today we wanted to go over all of the ATF's worst fails of 2024. Because, if we're honest, it's only a matter of time before they mess up again this year. Before we get into it, I wanted to give you a quick update that the director of the ATF, Stephen Dittelbach, has allegedly turned in his letter of resignation. Now, we all knew he was getting booted anyways, but let's not deny ourselves the satisfaction of releasing that ghoul back into the wild. The ATF is the most vulnerable it's ever been. And if you want to see them dismantled in 2025, then I urge you to sign our petition pressuring Congress and President Trump to enact pro-gun legislation. If you want to sign that and read our full 2A plans for 2025, the link is in the description and comments below. For this list, we're going to be going in chronological order. And to start us off strong, in February of last year, the ATF was caught illegally classifying employees in non-law enforcement positions as law enforcement officers, thereby wrongly entitling them to an estimated $88 million in taxpayer money for hazard pay. I have something to say to you, Director Dittelbach, or former Director Dittelbach. Your blue-haired receptionist is not wearing Kevlar and busting down doors at 3 in the morning. She should not be receiving our money for refilling your jar of sweets. Speaking of breaking down doors in the middle of the night, in March, after creating a new arbitrary rule that classified thousands of law-abiding gun owners as engaged in the business, the ATF conducted a sloppy raid that ended in a good man being shot to death in front of his wife. Brian Malinowski was a hard-working airport official who had no idea that his hobby of selling a handful of firearms at gun shows had now made him a criminal. When his doorbell camera was covered and he heard his door get broken down, he did what almost every gun owner would do. He prepared to defend himself and his wife, giving the ATF an excuse to execute Brian the moment he fired a shot. The worst part is, we knew this was going to happen. In late 2023, we warned everyone that this engaged in the business rule would be used to treat gun owners like cartel members.
What would happen if ATF decided you were in violation of this rule? You performed a firearms transaction. You weren't registered as an FFL. The punishment? Up to 5 years in prison or $250,000.
We even delivered 40,000 of your petitions directly to the ATF headquarters, which they responded to by kicking us off their property.
Oh man, that was a good take. That was like...
Gotta go.
Even though they refused to listen to our members, the death of Brian Malinowski wouldn't go unanswered. The 2A community and lawmakers mobilized, calling the ATF in for a hearing over this vicious attack.
The Department of Justice tells us that no body cameras were used. If this isn't the weaponization of government, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Mr. Dittelbach, we're going to have questions about this and a host of other things the ATF has done under your watch.
Even after being grilled for hours, Steve Dittelbach couldn't even look a crying widow in the eyes without making excuses.
Director, would you like to stand up and look at her and apologize?
I've already said, of course, whenever these things happen, it's a tragedy. Of course we're sorry. Everybody is sorry that this occurred.
Yeah, look at her, don't look at me.
Gun owners have always seen them for the frauds that they are. But the ATF broadcasted their inexperience to the whole world during an anti-gun propaganda piece televised by CBS News, in which the ATF's firearm expert couldn't even take a Glock apart.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
After those series of scandals and embarrassments, the ATF laid low in the media for a little while. But that didn't stop us and others from endlessly pursuing them in the courts. In June, the ATF's ban on bump stocks was struck down by SCOTUS, delivering a severe blow to their ability to arbitrarily decide what qualifies as a machine gun. The ATF is not a legislative body, no matter how much they pretend to be. Then in July, SCOTUS struck down Chevron deference, blocking agencies from imposing restrictions without congressional oversight. Following the Chevron decision, we struck a solid blow against the ATF by winning our case against their ban on force reset triggers. We are the only organization pushing on this issue and fighting alongside Lawrence DeMonico. And to be honest, things looked pretty grim when we started. The ATF had seized over $100,000 in FRTs. Lawrence's bank accounts were mysteriously suspended, and there was no Chevron or Cargill ruling to support us. Hell, the ATF were even calling our members, threatening to send agents to their houses if they didn't turn in their triggers, despite the court-ordered injunction.
I'm not trying to be difficult, so I mean, what are you telling me? You're not going to turn it over? Or?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about any of that.
So I guess we'll just come out to your house.
But we persevered and showed them how relentless gun owners truly are. The ATF cried, dragged their feet, begged not to be required to return the seized triggers, and even demanded our membership records before they were willing to do so. We shut all of this down, thanks to you. Their losing streak only continued when in August, the ATF faced another defeat as their pistol brace rule was vacated in federal court. We weren't the first to this fight, but as soon as we heard that our members would be protected if we filed our own lawsuit against the rule, we had to jump in for your sake. No one's Second Amendment rights should be dependent on what organization they're a member of. But if these are the hoops we have to jump through to protect as many gun owners as possible, we're not going to stand by idly. Their response to this series of failures was a desperate grovel to the Biden administration, that they're doing everything they can to impede our rights. They did this by boasting about revoking a record number of FFL licenses, most of them over simple record-keeping errors. This goes to show how gun control advocates have shifted their focus to targeting dealers, believing that if they can't ban guns, they can make them impossible for you to buy. The ATF's mission is clear, and no matter how much they profess their innocence, they will not shy away from harming innocent people in the process. The ATF didn't learn anything from the Brian Malinowski raid, so they ended the year just like they started it, with a broken door and a bang. Right before Thanksgiving, the ATF raided Mark Manley's home, holding his children at gunpoint over a bogus warrant accusing him of being a felon. The problem being, Mark Manley is not a felon and never was. The warrant has since been sealed, and no one has been held accountable. Neither him nor his family deserve to be threatened at gunpoint, flashbanged in their own home, and left to pick up the pieces. We were the first 2A organization to reach out to him, and if you want to hear Mark Manley's full story, you can click the link in the top right of this video to see our interview with him. Like we said earlier in the video, the ATF is vulnerable. Never have I seen this much public scrutiny befall them since Waco. Now is the time to act. Now is the time to stand up for gun owners nationwide. What you can do today is pay attention to the ongoing legal battles and sign your petition so we can use your voice to pressure Republicans into at least voting like they believe in the Constitution. Let's start the new year off right. Here's to 2025. Hopefully the year that we turn the ATF into a department store. Thank you for watching.